Hello again and welcome. Today I'm going to be introducing you to 3 new tools in the Simon Hope wood turning armoury, and they come in the form of 2 negative rake box scrapers, one with a 25mm square cutter and one with a 25mm round cutter. Now the cutters are made from M42 Cryo and they hold their edge a really good length of time, and they're both mounted on a 25mm by 10mm bar, and they again both have a 9.8mm tang. Now this means that they will fit into the 10mm tool handles, the quick release or the grub screw from Simon, and also the good news is with the addition of the 10mm reducer they will also fit into the easy arm jig system, which is great news for us old folk. Keeps a bit of pressure off the back when we're hollowing. Now these are ideal for small to medium hollow forms, vases, boxes, even small to medium goblets, which is good news for me. And the other tool is a hollowing tool. It's a swan-necked hollowing tool with a 12mm high-speed steel cutter, round cutter fitted. That also will fit into the 10mm quick release or grub screw handles, and also the reducer for use on the easy arm jig. Now what I intend to do is get up close and personal with these tools, show you the best way to present them to the work, and also how to keep that edge at peak performance, in peak condition, and how to hone it and also how to sharpen it. So without further ado, let's get close and personal with these new tools from Simon Hope Wood Turning. So we'll look at the round negative rake box scraper first, and to get these to work at their optimum you want the tool horizontal or parallel to the bedways, and when you are cutting on center height. Now this is the way the tool should be orientated, not that way as a lot of people think with the bigger brothers, because the negative rake relief is on the top of the cutter. So this is the orientation of the tool. Now they cut best at around 2500 RPM, and you can go in either straight in this way or backwards. No pressure needed, just nice, easy, and you can see you're getting nice shavings as well. Now this is primarily used obviously for refining any tool marks, any little humps and bumps you have, and leaves a really good surface ready for abrading from about 180. And obviously you can go into a deeper vessel. I've got this, let's say a lid of a box here just to show you, or the start of a box, just so you can see it actually cutting. And now with the square cutter the same principles apply, whereas the handle is horizontal when you're cutting on center, which it's not here. So just raise the tool rest slightly till you're cutting on center, just about there. And again, revs at around 2500. Present. Now the ideal thing with this, because of the radius here on the cutter, you can obtain a nice corner to your box lid or the base of your box. So if you want to square off the bottom, we're a little bit high there, these things happen. There we go, drop it down ever so slightly. So again, start here and run across the bottom, a nice square wall on the side, and then into the corner and across. And again you can see nice shavings coming off, leaving a nice surface. And what we can do there is just tidy up in the centre there with the round, get rid of that dimple, run across the base. And there we go, and the job is done. And again, that leaves a nice surface ready for abrasion at about 180. Now after 4 or 5 uses, you're going to have to replenish the burr. Now on the round cutter, if you turn it with the head of the screw up, because you want to raise the burr on the small bevel, and with a diamond file or similar, just a couple of strokes, making sure you don't round over the burr, will then replenish that raised burr. And you can do that 4 or 5 times. And similarly with the square cutter, the same process. Again on the small bevel, just raise that burr with a couple of strokes. And don't forget the corner. And then you've raised the burr again. Now every 4 or 5 times you're going to need to re-establish the bevels, and there is a mandrel or arbor that comes with the round cutter, and to re-establish the larger bevel, that just screws into the arbor backwards and also tighten down with the Allen key provided. And with a CBN or aluminium oxide setup is exactly the same process, but with the Pro Edge you need to remove the guard just for this one operation. And from the left hand side, otherwise it'll unscrew, you line the bevel up with your belt and turn on, and literally re-establish that large bevel. Now to sharpen the smaller bevel, turn the cutter around, screw into the mandrel, tighten up with the provided Allen key. Now again, if you have a Wolverine or similar system on a grinder with wheels, you must set the platform to 35 degrees. And what you do is, as I've explained, put that cutter into your drill mandrel, place it on the table and bring it up to the belt and spin, and there we have re-established a really sharp edge. You can, if you wish, use a Sharpie to blacken the bevels, and then that will give you a bit more indication that you're doing it at the right angle. Now, as with a round cutter, after 4 or 5 times you're going to need to replenish the bevels. Now again, on the Pro Edge there isn't a 50-degree marker, and this is the angle of the large bevel. So what I've done is made up a little jig, which means when I've placed it on the platform, when I bring the table up, when it's flush with the belt, sitting flush with there, it's 50 degrees. And that takes two minutes to make one of those, not a problem at all. Now the other thing, even with a grinder, if you have a grinding system, there's rather a large gap between the edge of the table and the cutting surface of either the wheel or the belt. So a little piece of craft matting. You can use a little clamp just to keep it there, keeps you nice and close to the sharpening surface. Now the idea here, similarly as with the round cutter, you can use a Sharpie if you so wish. It is not an exacting science. A degree or so different to the manufacturer's supplied angles is not going to make any difference, but it depends how your sharpening setup is indeed set up. So this is set up at 50 degrees to replenish the large bevel, which you might have to do every 4 or 5 times, or when the honing method becomes less effective. And you just concentrate on the one angle, on the one side, the other side, and now we've got both those bevels done. We need to do the curvature, so again just hold it against, turn it round, and you've re-established that back bevel. And now all we need to do is to alter the angle of the table to 35 degrees, which actually is on the Pro Edge, and if you have a Wolverine you will have to just get it to the right angle. And the same process, do both sides first, both edges, and spin it round, and there we have established a really good burr once again. Now this is the 12mm hooked tool. It's mounted on a piece of steel which is 16 by 8mm, and there's a 12mm high-speed steel cutter at the end. Now this is primarily designed for undercutting and cleaning up the larger hollow forms. I would suggest handheld up to about 8 to 10 inch would be its maximum. However, when placed in the easy arm jig, where you've got much more solidity, you could go up to possibly 12 inches. Now it's quite an aggressive piece of kit. It cuts best when the tip is just on or above center height when the tool is horizontal. Now a thing to remember with this sort of a tool, you want to be pivoting on the straight bar. You don't want to be here, because what will happen is it'll want to be pulling it over. So you need to be on this straight piece all the time. Again, revs approximately on this now, just over 1,000 revs, 1400, about 1400 RPM. Now it cuts very well. Now we want to do an undercut here, so again, just keeping it on the horizontal. And it does that job very, very effectively, because we nice undercut there. Now the big thing is, obviously, with any tool, is to keeping it sharp. And sharpening this one is simplicity itself. Now with the tool comes an Allen key, and that will then release that screw from the bar, and then this mandrel comes as well, and it has a thread in the end, and you merely screw the cutter to the end and put it into your drill. Now Simon doesn't suggest that you go to the grinder with this, because it'll take too much steel away, as opposed to using a diamond card and just finding the bevel and lightly re-establish that burr As simple as that. And if you have any questions regarding either the negative rake box scrapers or indeed the 12mm hook tool, then leave a question in the comment section below and I will get back to you, or contact Simon directly and I will leave, as usual, a link to Hope Wood Turning's website in the description below. Well, thank you very much indeed for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you very soon. Cheers now.